Not exactly hidden. Jeth Erla pants hard enough for slight sparks to emerge from his mouth as he moves, the branches of the trees serving as his pathway as he leaps from branch to branch with ease. He'd been at this for a long while. The sheer endurance of the human sorcerers was mind-bending. Still, one of the major tricks was breathing and pacing it correctly. They were right about that. Like a fire, he needs to devour the air around him to sustain himself. He kicks off the trunk of a tree and bounces down to one another level down. Sensei Koga had explained a lot to him. He wasn't being taught as a traditional sorcerer, but as both a sorcerer and shinobi, a survivalist, scout, and at times assassin. A sorcerer could be considered a natural disaster with a will. A shinobi, on the other hand, was someone whose job was to get around as fast and as skillfully as possible. Which meant that the joke going around the village was that the newer style of sorcerers would be basically hidden bombs that could precision guide the damage. A lot of it went right over Jeth's head, but he was all right with that. He was told time and again that his job was to learn, play, and take part. He had to grow up, and there was a lot to do as an adult and child. He finishes bouncing down to the forest floor and hops onto a stone sticking out of a clear freshwater creek. The water is cold and refreshing in a deep way. For some reason, water tastes better after running around a lot. Although now that he thinks about a lot, there are a lot of fully realized sorcerers that have come to the hidden village in order to add the skills of the village to what they know. They'd been told by the forest that there was something of value to learn here, and so they came. Which had led to the neat bit where Dare Char had been made to spend time with his dad Bryn Char and teach him a few things. It had been fairly successful, though, and by the end of it, with Bryn Char outright sharing stories with his boy about the interesting times and ways he's used sorcery to get things done, and Dare Char was responding with stories about tricks he's been learning and pulling off. Jeth, however, had something to chew through. Hatred is a good motivator. It can lead to incredible things, but it has to be justified. He had been sat down by Dale and he'd spoken with him. Jeth sits down and thinks about the talk. The forest shifts and Dale drops out of the canopy above. "You called for me?" "I was thinking about it," Jeth replies. "Did the forest tell you?" "It did. Are you all right?" Dale asks, and Jeth looks away. Is it really a bad thing to hate my mom?" Hate's always a tough subject. It's a powerful thing and can help you do incredible things, but it can also lead you to doing terrible things. Hate turned a conquered, crippled nation into a global threat that conquered all those around them, but it also turned them into monsters who committed atrocities so horrific that they're hated and feared to this day. It's not who they are. It's how they turned hatred into strength, and that strength led them to horror, Dale remarks before stepping out onto the water of the creek. "But she kept me from everything I wanted. She stopped me from doing anything. It was nothing but books, learning, and watching as everyone else got to have fun. And that was wrong of her. But like I asked you before, did she do it because she wanted you to not have any fun, or because she wanted to keep you safe and went too far?" "She wanted me safe." "So you're angry because she made a mistake. I understand that, but hating her for it? No, save your hate for someone that meant to do harm. Save it for those that deserve it. Your mom made a mistake. You've made a few in training, but you learned from them. Do you think Mom learned from her mistake?" "I'd be shocked if she didn't," Dale says, and Jeth just sticks a finger in the water and considers. "Do you think I should see her?" Jeth asks. "Probably. If she hasn't learned, then you know she hasn't learned and can make up your mind on what to do. If she has, though, then things will be better, won't it?" Dale offers, and Jeth just leans back and thinks. He could sort of mostly hear the forest. It was alive and listened and talked, but he wasn't really ready to hear it. He wanted to think for himself a bit more. No one wanted to rush it. Not him, not the forest, and not the teachers in the village. But there was still a lot they had to teach him before he was ready. It's going to be lunch soon. How about you think about it over a nice meal? Sure, Jeth says, standing up and holding up his hand for Dale to take. Dale takes his hand and helps Jeth to the edge of the creek and walks with him into a tree. The world goes weird and they're suddenly stepping onto a branch overlooking the village. Thanks, Jeth says, jumping down onto the plateau with the many buildings and lands easily with the help of the axiom to bleed the effects of the fall away. It was an easy trick that anyone who came to the village was taught. You didn't even need to listen to the forest to understand it or much in the way of training. A lot of the things the village taught were like that, simple little things that you never really considered until you were shown them. Things that looked really big or impressive were usually just one or two small things coming together to make something bigger. Dale lands beside him with less issue, and then Jeth grins and rushes ahead. It'll take him a bit to admit it, but Dale's right. He should go see his mom and see if anything has changed. He's been living here for a while now, and it felt like home. It is home. Skewers of paratak with some ulda grass wrapped around them to spread some flavor and roughage made a wonderful treat. The humans were trying to find ways to add more and more flavor to everything without tipping over into poisoning things. Still, when they got it right, they really got it right. Ulda grass was used to flavor bits of stews and soups, and apparently when wrapped around the meat and flame-kissed, it just added a little bit of flavor to it. It was perfect. He grabs another skewer after his first and eats as slowly as he can. Paratak is a tasty and fatty meat at the best of times, which doesn't have too much flavor but carries flavor well. He knows all this because there's nothing happening in the village that the students aren't being made a part of. Everyone takes their turn helping with the cooking, the hunting, the fixing, the gathering, the forging, the everything. No matter what there was to do, you did it at least some of the time. If you were really good at it, you did it most of the time. And Jeth was actually good with the cooking. He liked it. It made a lot of sense, and he was practicing his flame to build it up and cook at the same time. But it wasn't his turn to cook lunch, not today. Tomorrow, though, that was his turn. Still thinking, little buddy? Dale asks, and Jeth nods. If you want, I'll take over cleaning your dishes, give you more time to think. No, I need to be doing something while I think. All right, although I do have something for you to consider. Dale offers, and Jeth looks up at him. I could go with you. That way you feel like you've got some backup. Really? Really. You may not be able to wood walk yet, but that doesn't mean you can't have someone nearby who can. I know so many of the old stories about sorcerers have them as single, solitary beings of power, but you don't have to be. A person can be strong, but many people are a true force to be reckoned with. Dale replies as he bites into a few sticks of a local root thing that herbivores and omnivores like the humans can eat. It was just a bunch of horrible tasting woody stuff to Jeth, though. Well, that really makes things easier. 2 hours later, he's knocking on a very familiar door and fiddling with the chunk of shaped wood. His training sword. He's still in the same clothes he left home in, and Dale's behind him, standing at ease as it's apparently called. The door opens and she freezes. It's his sister, Vidi Urla. She looks from him to Dale and then slams the door. What? Jeth asks as Vidi screams for Mom inside the house, and Dale laughs. What's so funny? You'll figure it out easily enough later. Don't worry, Dale says, waving him off as he turns and glares up at the larger man. What's going on? What's so... His mother, Cor Urla, demands as she stomps down the hallway and freezes. Are you going to slam the door too? Jeth asks, and Dale breaks into more laughter. It's not funny. Yes, it is, Dale retorts, even as Cor Urla kneels down and pulls him in for a hug. Jeth goes still for a moment and then returns it, sinking into the warmth and softness of his mom being close. Dale just smiles at the sight. Knew it. Knew what? Cor asks, looking up at him, very much aware and attentive. Did our best to keep him busy and active, Let him burn through all his excess energy so he wouldn't have any left to keep himself getting angry and getting obsessive about it, Dale explains, and Quor looks confused. Mom? Jeff asks after a little bit. Yes? Are you all right? Is everything okay? She asks him quickly. I'm sorry I ran away. I don't hate you. Jeff says softly, and there's a slight clicking sound. Both mother and son turn to see Dale with his communicator out. What? It's a touching moment, he says, and Jeff can't keep himself from letting out a slight giggle. Anyways, ma'am, I am Officer Dale Newhart. I'm one of the trainers and soldiers posted at the Hidden Village. I've been teaching hunting, wilderness survival, and tracking. I see, and Jeff, my child, is this a visit, or are you coming back entirely? Quor asks, and he goes quiet. I still want to be a sorcerer. There's so much to do, and I'm learning and doing so much, and there's so much. Jeff tries and fails to explain. I see, Quor says, looking from Jeff to Dale and back. Jeff, my little flame, I want you to know that no matter what you chose, you can always come back. I'm sorry that I was so smothering. I wanted you to be safe, and... She trails off as Jeff's features harden a little. His axiom presence is annoyed. My son, you don't remember this, but I do. You had an accident when you were smaller, that aching you get when you're really angry, that feeling right here. She touches the top of his head between his horns. That's where you were hurt. I still remember it. I don't want it to ever happen again. But it won't not if I'm going to do anything, Jeff says. What is it that a lot of the men say? Life happens? We're keeping ourselves more polite when we say that, but generally, yes. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes bad things just happen. You have to learn to roll with it, Dale explains. Like falling training and martial arts training? Jeff asks, and Dale nods. Exactly, Dale says. How is he doing as a sorcerer? Is he doing well? Quor asks, and Dale nods. He's doing very well. There's no set timeline for sorcerers. They all learn at their own pace, but compared to the ones of history, our current training is pushing him to develop much faster than normal. He's at a point that took historical sorcerers several years to reach after just 6 months. Dale admits before shrugging. Now, whether it's because me and the rest of the guys are doing a great job or because Jeff is just plain awesome with sauce on it, we don't know yet. Wait, what kind of sauce goes on awesome? Jeff asks curiously. Awesome sauce.